Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I have to go to the dentist today. I told you a while back about my tooth that I had chipped on a water slide a long time ago, and I just have put off going to get this. I mean, it's not chipped bad. Every once in a while, the bonding on it will chip away a little bit, not to the point where I look like I have a half a tooth walking around. Otherwise, I would have already been. I put it off because it was just a tiny chip kind of on the back of it. But anyway, so I've got to go to the dentist today, and I hate going to the dentist. One of my good friends is my dentist, but I just can't stand it. So anyway, and plus he gives me those nasty shots in my mouth. And the last few times that I've been to the dentist, when he does my shot, for some reason he says it's kind of hard to hit the nerve or something, or to hit it in the right spot or whatever. And it hurts, and I bet I got 3 or 4 shots until he had numbed the area the right way the other day. Not the other day, but last time I went to get the bonding done. So, I'm not looking forward to that. All right, Stewart XRP sent this out of nowhere. It was last night, I believe. Yes, October 7th, 2019. Now, keep in mind, Brad Garlinghouse is on a tear. This guy. And I'm going to show you where all he's going in the next day or so. But we know he did Anthony Pompliano's podcast last week. He's doing, he did this, which I guess was yesterday. Now, the one thing I took note in this, one of the things they asked him in this video is, and this is the shortened version. I'm going to show you where you can listen to the full video. In this shortened version, there's 2 things I took out of it. The first thing is at the end, the guy says, look, so basically what you're saying is, to Brad Garlinghouse, he says, you're saying that he who has the most liquidity is going to win this as far as digital assets go. And Brad Garlinghouse pretty much acknowledges that. But the other thing that Brad Garlinghouse says in this video, let me see. Yeah. Remember CoinMe? Remember when I think it was Spring announced that they were investing in CoinMe, which is an ATM for digital assets? And there was a lot of people on Twitter that were saying, well, they announced that, but they didn't say that they're going to add XRP to the ATM. Well, Brad Garlinghouse in here makes a comment about that makes it sound like they are going to be added to the ATMs. And why would they do that if they weren't? I mean, that's what I said when the news first came out. That's the whole point. So I believe you'll start to see XRP being added to those ATM machines sooner rather than later. Those are the 2 things I kind of got out of this. But if you want to go and see the full version, Mr. B at XRP Mr. posted this Brad interview posted by Ping Boy, and it says live interview. So he's got the whole interview, and he does some opinion. He puts some of his opinions over the top of it, I think, so you can go see it there. Then we've got this that came from XRP Twin Verde, and it says Brad going to put the dots on the I's and crossing the T's tomorrow, looking forward. I thought this needs to be my thumbnail. I was about to make my thumbnail that other thing. I don't know who in the world must be putting the promos together for Fox Business that is taking a picture. They must know nothing about what's going on with Brad Garlinghouse to take a picture. It's like they pulled some picture out of their Brad Garlinghouse database without even knowing anything about the state of anything having to do with Ripple or Brad Garlinghouse. Who would pull that picture from it looks like it's from 10, 15 years ago. But anyway, Brad Garlinghouse today is going to be on Fox Business at 3:00 Eastern time. So I think that there has to be a reason that he's making all these rounds, because this is the other thing. These are the big events. He's going to be on this. Anthony Pompliano's podcast is going to be released to his subscribers today, and then tomorrow to non-subscribers. The New York Economic Club, and I need to go subscribe to Anthony Pompliano's podcast, not for this today, but he does put together a good podcast, and I am in the digital asset space all the time. But number 3, he's going to be at the Brad Garlinghouse is going to be at the New York Economic Club. Apparently, I don't know much about this New York Economic Club, but apparently this is like the who's who of the financial world. If you speak at this club, you have arrived. And I'm pretty sure Ripple has arrived. This was from Tony Valentino. He says, Bilderberg Group has spoken. And this is a tweet from the Economic Club of New York where Brad Garlinghouse is going to speak. And this is Anna Boten, who is from Santander. She's the executive chair from Banco Santander. Anna Boten, there's a lot of inefficiencies in the infrastructure payments. Banco Santander has a partnership with Ripple as one of the approaches to the bank is taking to leverage technology and streamline processes. And so this is from the Economic Club of New York tweeting that out. That's a good sign. Then Catherine Coley, I saw this. I just wanted to say she seems to be really taking the reins at Binance.us and doing a great job getting the word out there. And now she's telling any institutional traders, we're here to help you. Are you any institutional trader curious about trading on Binance.us? Don't be confused. We call it corporate account verification, but that also means institutions. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. Well, I still have a question, and that is when Georgia. That's my question. I want to be able to open a Binance US account in Georgia. All right. CNBC. We're closer than we've ever been to a Bitcoin ETF approval, says Bitwise head of research via ETF Edge, which is, I guess, the channel on there. But I'm not going into that article. That speaks for itself. It's just a matter of time. As I've said 1,000 times on this channel, it's just a matter of time. It's coming. And then Stephen Bull from the DEP had sent this video out. This is really interesting if you want to. He says Bucksy, which I don't know what Bucksy is, but he says remitting cross-border payments to End Bank. I think that's a bank in India account in real time. We're 99.99% sure that Bucksy is using RippleNet. I watched this video, and of course, it's got Bucksy on it, but the way that this demo goes is very similar to other demos I've seen using RippleNet in the past. So yeah, I think he's right here. But very interesting to watch. It's a 2-minute, 13-second if you want to go watch it. It's very worth your time. Mr. B XRP at XRP Mr. sent me this. Chris Larson just sent 20 million XRP to Coinbase Probe. Now this is the XRPL monitor, and a lot of people think that this is Chris Larson's one of his addresses. Now, whether that's his address or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that I have read that some of this is speculation as to whether this is Chris Larson's address. I can't even imagine a scenario where Chris Larson has to use Coinbase Pro to do his XRP trades for his personal account, because this isn't a guy that's going to be using Coinbase Pro. This is a guy that's going to have an over-the-counter broker that he uses, that he calls up or probably doesn't even have to call up, probably texts and says, sell X amount of XRP. I don't think he's, I tend to think this isn't what's going on here. Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. This is funny because Ian Northing, who has been on fire, he says things are hotting up. I think he's, I want to say was from South Africa or something. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But he says things are hotting up, and he had copied me on this. He says Ripple XRP becomes the #1 crypto mentioned on Twitter. And this is from an article, talking about how it's the #1 mentioned on Twitter. And this comes from this tweet, which from in the middle of the night last night, I guess. Top 10 most mentioned cryptocurrencies on Twitter: XRP, BTC, Ethereum, Litecoin, Chainlink. Well, the first thought that pops in my head here is when you see this, get ready for the FUD articles to start coming out on XRP, because it happens like clockwork. And I said, I had somebody this weekend asking me why I was posting things about Bitcoin and that kind of thing. Well, every time things start to happen for Ripple and XRP, the anti-Ripple people come out of the woodwork. And so occasionally, not often, but occasionally I'll get on Twitter and state the obvious about Bitcoin versus XRP only when they begin the attacks. I don't attack unless I see, and I wouldn't even call it an attack. I don't make comments about it. I just make factual comments. When I'm talking about Bitcoin versus XRP, as I've said many times, I own Bitcoin and I think that Bitcoin's going to do well. I just don't think long term from a technological perspective that it can hang anywhere close to XRP. Okay, but then because he accidentally said hotting up in the last tweet, he went ahead and said it again. Damn, things are definitely hotting up. And then this is a tweet where Ivanka Trump had tweeted this out. Today, the USA and Japan signed 2 new trade agreements. Number 2, digital trade agent follows USMCA with gold standard rules for digital trade. Interesting tweet. Okay, and then we have this. From Michael at VAL 5 links. Yesterday, we talked about how there was a lawsuit against Tether and was it Bitfinex? And today, Michael at VAL 5 links sent me this. The Justice Department has opened a criminal probe into whether traders are manipulating the price of Bitcoin and other digital currencies. Well, the only problem they're going to run into is that this is a global phenomenon, and I don't think they're going to have any power when it comes to China. But this is a great thing that they're opening a probe. I'm surprised it took them this long. Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 sent me this. Deutsche Bank plans to cut about half its planned 18,000 jobs in Germany as it relies on savings at the retail unit to lower costs. Things are getting pretty creepy out in the world, folks. I was watching this one yesterday. This is a bank where the looters are coming in and just throwing whatever, and it looks like smoke bombs in all these banks. They've had ATMs run out of cash. The banks are shutting down. Is this where you want your money to be when even if the governments are not responsible for it, is this where you want your money to be in an emergency of any kind? They've even got Captain America on the streets over there. Is that where you want your money to be, or would you rather it be safely where you can access it through a Ledger Nano S? I prefer the Ledger Nano S. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that Hong Kong is looking pretty scary these days. Thank you for listening.